broadcast by Milford TV. There are members of the media present. If anybody would like a copy of tonight's meeting, please ask any member at the end of the meeting. First agenda item tonight is the approval of the minutes. Has every member had an opportunity to see the minutes? Can I have a motion, please? Motion from Joe, second by Jen. All in favor? Next agenda item is announcements, correspondence, and distributions. Any announcements, Mr. Superintendent?
So I have one announcement and two correspondences. The first correspondence is from Representative Fernandez, and it just gives you an update on the circuit breaker for FY17 budget, and it just talks about the increase, which shifts approximately $5.6 million over fiscal year 2016, and that supports our out-of-district placements and students requiring special education services. Okay, and that's in your handouts that were passed out. My second correspondent, I want to read this one to you. This is from Nicholas Molinari, who's the president of the Milford Teachers Association. Dear Mr. Walsh, I'm going to ask you if you and the other members of the Milford School Committee would join the Milford Teachers Association in signing a resolution in opposition of Question 2, which will appear on the upcoming election ballot. Question 2 seeks to lift the cap on the creation of new charter schools throughout Massachusetts. This cap was put in place for good reason, namely to ensure the integrity and equity of our public school system while allowing for some limited flexibility to try new ideas. But now such schools are merely an attempt of the state and various corporate sponsors to circumvent both school committee and teacher association oversight. Ultimately, Question 2 could cost Milford taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars, while at the same time removing any say they have over how that money is spent. It is a divisive approach to solving the problems of education rather than an inclusive one, and I encourage you and your colleagues to stand with us. If you are interested in joining us in this resolution or would like me to come and speak with the school committee about it in person, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Nicholas Molinari, President of the Milford Teachers Association.
Very nice.
And I have one last, and this was passed out to your packet too. This is the flyer that is going around right now for the new early college high school course that we're offering at Milford High School. The course is Biological Perspectives on Environmental Issues, and will be beginning next week on Tuesday and running from 4:30 to 7:50 every Tuesday until mid-December. And we hope, if this course is popular, to offer potentially maybe 2 or 3 courses in the spring, and maybe look at some summer options, as well as exploring some opportunities for students during the school day as well. All right, and I just want to make the committee aware of this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other member? Joe?
Just wanted to add, so should we add the Chapter 2 discussion as a future agenda item?
Yes.
When they come in and,
Yep.
okay.
We can definitely do that. Would you like me to invite Nick in for the September 15th meeting?
Yeah, that'd be great. I just think it's obviously an important ballot question that we should probably weigh in on and publicly make some sort of statement.
Okay.
Think we can bring him in on the 15th?
I'm gonna
Okay.
extend the invitation.
That way it's not, we don't put it off.
Right.
Yeah. Joe?
I just want to say, with the first day of school, we had me, you, Joe, and a couple other members had a chance to visit all the schools on the first day. And I was amazed on how well everything went. It was like day 100, without any problems, no nothing. And I got to really give a lot of props to all the teachers and administration for everything that they've done. Woodland, of course, is the staple, and it was beautiful, and kids were in awe of how awesome it is. I think I still am as well, and I just want to commend everyone on a job well done on their first day.
If I could just chime in on that just a little bit, only because Joe and I were talking in the car on the way here. We don't want to forget Rob Quinn and the custodians.
Yes.
The buildings were impressive.
Yeah,
They really were.
Robin's team did a great
So-
job.
Right.
Yeah. Any other member?
No, I was just
Jen?
Well, along the same lines, the fact that Woodland opened up on the weekend and there were many representatives from school administration last Saturday, that place was so busy and so full of happy, smiling people. The fact that transportation was arranged from the high school over to Woodland, it just gave everyone such a great sense of community, and that's a big school. But I think it eased a lot of people's minds, and it really just highlighted the dedication. Jonathan was there, Aldo was there, you know, your building committee, the contractor, I saw the architect there this morning at drop-off. You know, there's a lot of attention and a lot of people really putting those finishing touches to make sure it's just right for kids, so, and
Very nice.
families.
Yeah, very nice.
Actually, I would like to add, Kevin, I spoke for a few minutes on the first day about maybe like, you know, one other time during the year, having the opportunity to tour all of the schools like we did that morning. I thought it was really great. You got to see, you know, the looks on everybody's faces. The kids were excited to see you. The educators were excited to see you. Everybody, I just thought it was really good FaceTime. So if, you know, if that's possible, perhaps there's another opportunity throughout the year, maybe after the you know, on the second half of the year, an opportunity to maybe revisit that, you know, just to try to keep that FaceTime going.
And we'd love to do that. We could do it one or two more times, maybe once
Yeah,
in the
whatever.
winter and once in
I'll
the
leave it
spring,
at the
just-
discretion of the administration.
And just offer the invitation out there and see, you know, if it works with the people's schedules.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I heard from a lot of folks, you know, that I know within the district that were excited to see us. So, and I know it's an opening, you know, it's opening day, so that's great. And we got to throw out the first pitch, but I'd love to do it another time throughout the year. So I hope we can consider that.
Well, maybe what we could do would be more successful, instead of assigning a school to each member. This year, come up with a program like that, and pick, say, 2 or 3 dates through the year, and we hit every single school just like we did that day. Something like
Yeah,
that.
we could
Is that-
definitely do that.
Sure. know?
Yeah, that's
Maybe something like that, and we'll try to be cognizant of everybody's schedules so that, you know, we can try and get as many people, committee members there as possible, you know?
Yeah, it was great because
Yeah.
we, you know, even though the opening festivities were amazing, we also had a chance to speak with building principals about, you know, some things that, you know, we actually got to see in person. So I think it's also a great opportunity to discuss some things that normally, you know, people wouldn't come here to discuss.
Right.
So,
John?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I was just gonna say, you know, instead of, you know, going through that, instead of assigning, school liaison assignments, maybe we could do it in addition to, because, in some conversations I've had with, Kevin and Joe, being a school liaison does play a role in the budget season and getting to know what, you know, the needs are of the individual school, and having somebody assigned just to that school is beneficial,
Sure,
I
whatever the
think.
committee you know, wants to do, I'm fine with. Yeah, we can leave it the same and then add this as an extra,
yeah, sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So then what I'll do is I'll plan the next meeting, Kevin, to make the school assignments,
Okay, we'll add that as agenda.
okay?
Yep, absolutely.
Any other member? I would just, as the chairman, I would like to just reach out to everybody that was involved. Again, the administration. I personally went to Woodland School a week ago on a Sunday afternoon for a walk and kept peeking in the windows and saying to myself, Kevin, if you pull this one off, you're Houdini. So, you know, just a great job to the administration, great job to all the teachers. I mean, everybody, the custodial staff, the kitchen staff, you know, just a phenomenal day. And you know, every school that we walked into was quiet, was organized. The kids, you know, the kids were happy. I just, you know, I don't think we saw one child crying, now that I say that.
We did not.
You know, and the teachers are just so happy, and the other thing, their rooms. I can't get over how well they decorate their rooms. And they probably pay for that out of their own pocket, knowing them, you know? So I just want to say to everybody in the district that involved in the schools, great job, great first day, and I know the committee's very proud of all of you, so thank you. Next agenda item is invitation to speak. Is anybody here to speak? Come on right out.
Come on up, Emma.
Hi everyone, my name is Emma. I'm going to be a senior at Milford, and I'm a representative from the Student Council of the class of 2017. And just a few updates from our school. 20 MHS students participated in the Patriots Anti-Violence Partnership, which is an innovative approach to violence prevention education. The program is funded by the New England Patriots Charitable Foundation and the Massachusetts Attorney General's Office, and will provide training for students, faculty, and coaches at 98 public high schools across Massachusetts. And MHS applied for this grant, and it was actually the first school in the state to have the students trained in this partnership, which is awesome. The trainings were conducted by mentors in violence prevention nationwide leader in addressing violence prevention. It's run by the Center for Sport and Society at Northeastern University, and students who were trained will have an evening presentation for parents and share what they learned with their peers throughout the year. And then just an update on the start to school. The first 2 days of school have been great. Everyone's really happy to be back and looking forward to a great school year. Seniors are gearing up for the college admissions process, college essays, and registering to take one more SAT or ACT. We were reminded over the announcements today that today is the deadline to register for the October 1st SAT without incurring a late fee. Juniors are enjoying their first year as upperclassmen while focusing hard to ensure they do their best and maintain a strong transcript throughout the year. And sophomores are excited to no longer be the youngest students in the building and are taking many challenging classes and taking the PSATs for the first time on October 19th. Freshmen are doing an awesome job finding their classes and settling into school life. They've been meeting every morning with their peer mentors during homeroom to ask questions and learn more about MHS. On August 11th, the peer mentors welcomed the freshman class to MHS, and they viewed the Welcome to MHS video created by VP students and attended various workshops, including Making High School Count and the Code of Contact, which were presented by our assistant principals. Peer mentors gave guided tours, reviewed the freshman survival guide, and created a dress code fashion show that was enjoyed by everyone. Peer mentors had lunch with their freshmen and helped alleviate any worries about transitioning into high school. For the past 2 days, the peer mentors have been in their homerooms engaging in icebreaker games, helping them find their schedules, their lockers, and helping them which lunch they were assigned to, just helping them ease into high school. And lastly, our Spanish exchange students arrive on September 9th, which is everyone's really excited about. They'll be welcomed with a breakfast reception coordinated by Mrs. McKinney and the hospitality tourism management students. And during the exchange, students will attend classes with their MHS host students, visit Sturbridge Village, take a trip to Boston and New York, and ride the Doug boats, as well as bake apple pies with Mrs. Tuttle.
Wow,
That's all.
a lot going on in 2 days.
Yeah. It's been a very busy 2 days, but everyone's settling in really nicely, so it's been good.
Anyone have any questions?
I'd just like to say that I witnessed the peer mentor program as a parent of a peer mentor and a sophomore. He had a great time. I think you guys run a great program. It's an amazing indoctrination into the school and something that certainly I didn't have when we went here. So I think it's a wonderful program, and thank you. You
That's
guys do a
awesome.
great
Thank
job.
you. I'll let everyone know that it was successful.
Any other member?
Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very, very
Thank
much.
you.
Nice job tonight.
Thank you.
Have a nice school year.
Thank you.
Okay, next agenda item is Middle School East. Do you want to speak to that?
Sure. We had talked, I believe it was the previous meeting, about keeping middle school east for this year potentially, while we complete the long-range education plan, but we didn't officially take a vote on it. And I wonder if, maybe we have some discussion and then potentially move to a vote.
Joe?
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. We had a more of an informal discussion at the last meeting, but the meeting before that about what we want to do with Middle School East. And as we discussed at that time, we're going to start the long-range planning process, and we're not exactly clear as to how Middle School East may fit into our long-term plans. And so we're not in a position right now where we're ready to declare that building surplus or say that we're definitely going to need that building. But we know that there's a lot of work to be done in terms of the long-range planning process, and that the prudent thing to do would be to keep that building over the course of the next year until we make that decision. And if we're going to keep that building, then we should make some use of it, right? So let's talk to Lenny and community use and make sure that they're taking advantage of it. Let's make sure that the youth organizations are taking advantage of it. And if there's a need from other groups that may be interested, encourage them to reach out to central office and inquire about it as well. So I don't know if anyone else.
John?
Yeah, I would, I guess I'd just reiterate what I said in the July meeting, which is that, we have to identify what our needs are, and that's clearly going to be part of the next long-range plan, which is, I guess, part of the next agenda item. But what's clear to me is that we're out of space here at the high school. There's a number of programs that Carrie would like to add if she had the space. So I think that's what drives Middle School East is, we need to create space here. we need, we need to recognize that and investigate it a little bit further. But if we're gonna create space here, what are we gonna do with early childhood in central office, if anything? So, and does Middle School East fit into that plan? I think that's without defining the next long-range plan, we can't make an informed decision on what to do with East.
Well, that was John on the high school tour. For those of us who were on the high school tour, we had gone through the school and then met up with Kerry in the corridor, and she was telling how excited she was at a program from Framingham State, I guess it is.
Correct.
And one of the problems is space. Space kept coming up almost in every building we're in, except for the New Woodland. So we had a space issue here at the high school. Then we went down to Stacy Middle School, and Nancy showed us now where she's kind of going out in the hallways to do some instructional work. Another space issue. So I agree. I think we need to really take a hard look as a school committee. Are we going to have a use for that building?
Yeah, I think we do, and I think, we had discussed having Carrie come in here and talk about, her added programming and her space needs and what she would do if she had just the space that central office was in, and what she would do if she had the space that early childhood is in. And we talked about having it be a future agenda item. I don't know at this point if we're, if we're gonna form a long-range committee, if we redirect her, to that committee, or if we have her still come in, because, I don't wanna speak for her, and she can, I can't do it justice, her, what she
Right.
would do with the space.
Right.
And what the difficulties are now with the space. Some of that came out in will come out in the, help me with this, I can't ever get the acronym right.
NEASC.
NEASC.
Yeah, the ask, yes.
Some of that will come out in
There's so many
in that
acronyms.
report. So, I don't think we can make an informed decision yet, but as I've said in the past, I think we owe, the general public a statement on where we stand with it. And, I don't know if it's a vote. I don't think, it's certainly a vote if we're gonna vote to declare it surplus. Once we do that, it's over. It's basically ours until we declare it surplus, but I think, we have to have the committee at least, make some sort of a statement. I don't know if that's a vote or not, but I think we can't just have it hanging there and have people wondering and not knowing. I guess I'd like to add right now, it is being used by, the gym space anyways, is being used by high school athletic programs. It's scheduled already to be used for some of the middle school athletic programs, and it's available to the community use. And Lenny Marconi said if he had that space, he would have a lot of utilization for it. So I guess I just think we all need to make a statement, or at least know
Right.
where we stand as a committee.
How do the other members feel?
I'm sorry, I kind of agree too. I think it's been out there long enough where we'll make a decision. I think we really need to hash out what we're gonna do. In John's sake, at least let the public know we're working on it. We'll have something by such and such. We all need to really, when we do budgets at the beginning of the year, sit down in a room, figure out what we're gonna do. And I think that should be sooner than later. I agree.
Well, I also agree with what everyone's saying, and I think we spent a lot of time last year listening to updates and understanding the Middle School East Reuse Committee and the things that they were working on, and getting a final report that talked about different ideas for reusing the building, and certainly education was one of them. And what I would hope is that in addition to the long-range plan, that we also work concurrently with Rob and whoever else we need to consult with in terms of what the building would require in terms of ADA and costs that are associated with that. So when we look at what are our needs, we can also have the numbers and a greater repertoire of information that we can use to decide, is it financially feasible for us to hold on to the building as well. And I think the other thing that we really want to think about is not working in isolation. I just can't imagine making this huge decision about this enormous building with historical value and downtown value without having input and buy-in from our selectmen and other stakeholders in the town. So I think there are a lot of different things that we could be working on simultaneously, so we can all come to a decision that we all feel is the best decision for Milford and our children and our town and our taxpayers.
If I I was just gonna add, you know, if, we definitely need some outside consulting if we're going to pursue reusing that building or continuing to use that building. Just as an example, if we thought that it might be a good idea to move early childhood there, in central office, at that point, you'd need to look at what a renovation would entail, you know, to bring that facility into compliance with, you know, whatever the early childhood regulations are. And then we have to look at the feasibility of, does that make sense? Or, you know, if we determine that we're gonna move early childhood, where are we moving to and what's the cost of putting them one place versus middle school east?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we've been knocking these, even in my short time on the board, we've been discussing this quite regularly, and I'm on board with the same thought process. I just think that the facility needs to be vetted for additional footprint as we discuss long-term educational planning, and I think we need to kind of, as Joe mentioned, we need to at least hold on to it for another year until those decisions are made. And then, I think once that's concluded, we can make a final decision on it.
How long, Doc, do you think the educational plan is gonna take you?
I think the goal is to try to bring a report in late May or early June back to the school committee
Okay.
with some recommendations.
So if we use July 1st, Kathy, as a date, that would be okay?
Yeah.
All right. So is everybody okay with,
As a date for what? For deciding if we want to
Whether-
retain middle
you're
school
right.
east for the district?
right? Is everybody okay with that?
As long as the long-range ed plan finish their work and their goals, I think we could do July 1st.
Yeah, I think that's our target. Again, sometimes these things take a life of their own.
Mhm.
You may want to even make the statement that at the conclusion of the long-range education planning process, the committee will
Okay. And you're okay with that?
come to a conclusion on middle school east. Does that make?
Yeah, so if we wanna formalize this, I'll make a motion that we keep middle school east, until we complete the long-range planning process, and then once that process is completed, we'll make a decision on whether or not to declare middle school east surplus.
Yeah.
Can I second that for discussion?
Sure.
Just because I'd rather
Yep.
not go to a vote yet.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I think that, within that timeframe, we should know whether that fits into our future plans or not. It might be that it doesn't fit in financially for several years or more, and we have options. We have options on the table now from groups that are interested in leasing some space. So that's not to say that, we'll be using it in the next fiscal year or next school year, but, it may take a few more years. If the decision is to use it, we don't know what the time frame is in that, but I think we need to, again, come to the decision on, we think it fits into our future plans or not, in the time frame we just discussed.
I think the only thing I would be concerned about, waiting until July 1st is if we're preparing a budget earlier than that and we're looking at associated costs with keeping it online for the coming year, will that be a concern with the FinCom when we meet with them in terms of what is going to be expected from the school department's budget? So, again, I think I would hope that we could have discussion with those boards, I know I already said this, earlier rather than later, so they really understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, and so we don't end up in a position where we're trying to scramble to take the operating costs for East next year out of our line items for students and for teaching and learning. So that would be one thing that we may need to continue to talk about and look at. There may be a very viable reason for keeping that building online for another year. And I think we'll need to be prepared to explain why, and we'll want to get buy-in from the other town boards as to why we think that's the direction we're going in, because we can't keep that building online and then have to possibly cut teachers or cut programs because we're paying to heat a building and keep a building up and running.
What's your feeling on that, Kathy?
I would agree with Jen, very well stated. As we know, we're gonna manage this year, and with the new Woodland building opening, we don't know those utility projections. We have something from the architects, so we're gonna just watch our budget very sharply and closely to accommodate middle school east right now. I know Rob is looking at a maintenance expense currently with the I believe it's one of the boilers did not pass, so we have a valve that we have to replace. So these things will start to happen, so we just have to be very careful and watch those expenses, at least for the 16-17 school year, and then whatever the committee does decide of the long-range ed plan, we have to consider that.
John?
Yeah, I just add that, moving forward after this year, we do have some revenue options that we need to consider as well that could offset the operating costs.
Any other member?
And I'm not disagreeing at all with anything that Jen said.
No, that's okay. So what was your motion, Joe, please, could you read?
To keep the building until we complete the long-range planning process, and then upon completion of the long-range planning process, at that point in time, we'll make a decision as to whether or not to declare the building surplus.
Okay. Can I have a second on that motion?
It was already seconded.
Oh,
John
you said,
seconded.
I'm sorry. Okay, all in favor? Okay, so it's publicly go on record that the Milford School Committee has voted to keep the building operational as we go through our long-range educational plan. And at that time, we will determine whether it's surplus or we have a need for it. Okay? Thank you. Report of the Superintendent of Schools.
Great, thanks, Mr. Chairman. The committee already stole a lot of my thunder on the opening of school report, but I'm going to kind of go school by school because I just have a few points to make. The first 2 days of school in Milford were very successful. We opened a brand new state-of-the-art elementary school, successfully transitioned the 8th grade to Stacy Middle School and the 5th grade to the new Woodland Elementary School, which was no small task. And we look forward to our kindergarten and preschool students starting next week. Preschool will be starting on Tuesday, kindergarten on Thursday. District-level administrators and members of the school committee, as you already heard, were able to visit each school in several classrooms. And I think it's important for the community to know that not many school committees take the time to spend the first morning in the schools. And I want to thank the members for that because, as Jim said, it really does mean a lot to the teachers and the students to see the committee really behind what they're doing. Milford High School students were navigating their new schedules and seemed excited to be back for the first day of school. The first and second graders were off and running at Brookside and Memorial. The 8th grade faculty from Middle School East seemed to be making a nice transition into their new classrooms at Stacy. And it was actually fantastic to see the completion of the new E-rate project and the fully operational wireless network at Stacy Middle School, which is one of the Woodland and Stacy are the first steps. We're going to begin work in Memorial, and then we're going to move to the high school in Brookside. And hopefully we'll be completely wireless by the end of the year, pending E-rate moving through the federal process. Woodland appeared to have been open, as I think it was Joe said, for like 6 months.
Right.
It was crazy. It seemed like they had been doing this forever. Students and teachers were engaged in lessons. They were transitioning smoothly. The lunch process was great. They were making use of the awesome new playground in the back. It was amazing how many students were on some of these apparatuses in the back of the school. And it was no small feat of, the school administration were working tirelessly. Folks were putting in 16 to 20 hour days consistently, sometimes 7 days a week, to make sure the building was ready to be opened. I also want to thank all the teachers who jumped in at every point. A number of our faculty, our administration were there on Saturday for the open house, which Jen mentioned, which went extremely well. And I want to really, really commend the building committee and Aldo Chakey and Jonathan Bruce for their hard work to make sure kind of everything came together on this project. Because if you walk through the building, you just see the attention to detail, and it's really a space where I see learning flourishing in Milford for a really, really, really long time. Shining Star, I'm going to jump to Shining Star next. Shining Star had a successful orientation last evening and a welcoming open house for students and families this morning. It was great to see all the preschoolers, meeting their teachers and kind of exploring the spaces. I want to commend Dr. Masterson on her first opening of the preschool. She did a very nice job, as well as her staff. I also want to second what the committee said about Rob Quinn and his team for ensuring the schools were clean and prepared for students on the first day. As a district, we opened a new building and transitioned 2 grade levels, and it's one of the best openings that I've been a part of since I've been in Milford. And again, I want to thank the faculty and school administration who worked tirelessly to ensure classrooms and schools were ready for learning on the first day, and we've had a great first 2 days of school. I anticipate having a fantastic school year. And next, the Milford Public Schools Leadership Team Retreat. I just want to give the committee an update, because you hear like and we tweeted out some pictures about the leadership retreat, and I think people wonder what goes on at these things. Because you see every district almost in the state does some kind of leadership retreat. And I just want to give the committee and the community a little insight. And I want to give Craig Consigli credit for our motto this year. And that's really moving from dissemination to collaboration. And that's really our goal, is we really want to engage people in the work and not just talk at them, but work with them. Each of our sessions for the leadership retreat focused on topics that administrators collaborated and shared with each other to push practice. We started each session with a song. Craig was the DJ. He usually cut my song choices short and played his a little longer, which was very interesting. We never made it to Rihanna's part in Umbrella.
No.
We tried it 4 times. He just never got there. He didn't believe a woman was singing that song. But the goal is really to, build relationships, set a vision, and really push practice. And we set norms for our meetings and discussed expectations for our leadership team. And I want to share those with you, and I shared them with the faculty on the first day as well. And it's 6 things we're really going to try to focus on. It's being relentlessly focused on student learning and growth, becoming a community of continuous learners, committed to constant improvement, a willingness to take risks and explore different strategies for student learning, programming, and improvement, inclusive and supportive of all learners, and building a culture of customer service and customer satisfaction. Those are really the 6 things we're going to focus on as a leadership team. We're going to try to, kind of build on the culture of the Milford Public Schools, and a lot of those things are already happening. Additionally, and I just want to give some credit to some folks who came out and presented to the group. Woodland School Psychologist Emily Lurie presented on the new DCAP. Dr. Robin Bradica, the team chair at Stacy, led a discussion on social emotional learning. The attorneys from Murphy, Hesse, Toomey, and Lehane presented on several areas of educational law, and they were good sports because we played Judas Priest breaking the law as they came in, which I thought was great. And
That was incredible.
and our town council, Jerry Moody, which we played I Fought the Law and the Law Won by The Clash, presented on collective bargaining and the grievance process. I was really pleased with the outcome of the retreat and felt that we left focused on the shared purpose of supporting and engaging classrooms, focused on student learning and growth. And I don't know if you want to comment, Craig, at all.
Honestly, I've been going to retreats for 10 years. It's not because we planned it together, but I just felt like everybody was working together, and we really were able to jumpstart our tenure as leaders in the district. I think we went in with a goal of making sure that everybody comes out of it with a clear vision, and I think we accomplished what we set out to do. So it was awesome.
Great. Kathy, I don't know if you wanted to add anything, too.
I agree. It was a very interesting choice of music. I didn't know any of the songs, I have to admit, but there was a lot of collaboration, a lot of new faces. It really was an engaging experience, and we enjoyed it.
Well, if I could chime in, I think that's important with what we did yesterday as well, with the committee and with the administration. And I don't mean just walking around the buildings. I mean, we literally walked into classrooms and engaged with teachers, engaged with children, and, they get this feeling like, wow, they really, truly do care. They do want to help, and we do, but you got to break down those barriers, and you got to, get in and watch what's going on. And the teachers had a lot to say to us. The kids are priceless. I mean, if one more kid said, wow, you're tall. But I think even Craig, as funny as it really was, Craig was walking around Woodland School to his old students and getting them all riled up. They're all screaming, and then that's part of it. Just really, it's.
He's actually not welcome back.
But no, it shows you human. It shows you have a human element, and to do something like that at a leadership meeting, that's a great idea. Great idea. People need to laugh.
Great. And the last piece is the Milford Long Range Education Plan Committee, and we talked a little bit about the long range plan when we were talking about middle school east and how that played in. But really, this committee is looking at kind of facilities across the district. And how that's going to kind of play out over the next 10 to 15 years, technology and how we're going to leverage technology to support learning, and kind of what our broad vision for student learning is, and how the facilities, the technology, and all these pieces are going to become part of that. And I have, we had asked community members and faculty members to, if they had an interest in joining this committee, and we kind of vetted through that process and had a discussion. And this is my proposal for folks that I'd like to see appointed to the committee, and if the school committee could take a vote on these maybe after a little discussion.
Okay.
All right? And I'll read through the list as they're being passed around, just in the interest of time. Kevin McIntyre, Superintendent of Schools. Craig Consigli, Assistant Superintendent. Kathy Perry, Assistant Superintendent. Dr. Matt Joseph, Director of Information Technology, Digital Learning and Innovation. Rob Quinn, Director of Facilities. John Erickson, School Committee. Joe Callery, School Committee. Jennifer Parsons, School Committee. Carrie Bonnick, High School Principal. Lisa Burns, Memorial Principal. Keith McGrath, Community Member. Tara Bennett, Community Member. Peter Boucher, Faculty, and Vinnie Kizo, Faculty. And that's the makeup of the committee,
Yeah.
or the proposed makeup of the committee.
Any discussion?
I'm glad we included community members on this too, because I'm sure they'll all have a bunch of good ideas for these too.
Absolutely.
And I remember Keith too, I think he was on one of the committees that we had, search committees or something. He was
IT director.
IT director, so that's good, I like this list.
And we had quite and just to respond to Joe's comment, we had quite an outpouring of community members that were interested. And I'd like to actually invite those community members to be, and Craig and I were trying to come up with a name for this group, but I really want them to be almost like a focus group that maybe 2 or 3 points during the year, maybe a subcommittee of the bigger committee can bring kind of where we are in the process and bounce those ideas off those members so we have broader community engagement in this process, if that makes sense.
Advisory group, maybe?
Maybe, yeah, advisory group, maybe a long-range planning advisory group, if that makes sense. Because we did have a big outpouring from the community of folks that were interested.
No discussion? Can I-
Other than, I think it looks great, and I'm
Okay.
thrilled to be part of it.
May I please have a motion to accept the names? Motion from Joe Callery, second from Jen. All in favor? All set, Doctor?
All right,
There's
great,
your
thank you.
committee.
All right, and that ends my report.
Okay, and the next agenda item is report of the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment. Mr. Consigli.
Thank you. So I just want to give an update on two things, the CTL meetings that Dr. McIntyre and I had this summer, and just the mentoring program that we just started. So in the CTL meetings, we met with over 30 teachers, probably closer to 40, sitting curriculum team leaders from all across the district, and they represented staff members from every single school in all the grade levels. We engaged them in conversations about their schools, their departments, and really the purpose of it was to kind of get a balcony view of what's going on curriculum-wise across all the schools. We had 3 main questions that I wanted all of them to answer. What are your goals for your department? How can we improve the way we structure the job of a curriculum team leader, and what we expect from you? And what are the needs of your department? We had great conversation right out of the gate. Everyone was open and shared willingly, shared their strengths, shared weaknesses, shared what they thought they needed to work on. It ended up producing 12 pages of notes that I was taking from these meetings, which, you know, before I printed it out, I thought, geez, there's a lot here. And then when I actually printed it out, I said, wow. Because then we brought that to the leadership meeting, and we distributed it to all the principals, and let the principals, and of course I told all the CTLs that I was going to do this. I let all the principals look through the notes and understand where all the CTLs were coming from and what they thought were strengths and weaknesses. So, long story short, we had planned an activity to do with the principals to take about 45 minutes, and it ended up carrying over to the next day just because of the discussion and things that they were pulling out of there. And it ended up helping us focus on 3 different things. And the 3 different things, the first, planning and preparation. What kind of professional development do our teachers need? We've already started. We had the 2 days just at the beginning of this week where we had some FOSS training, some everyday math training, and technology training with Dr. Joseph. They want opportunities to engage other faculty members in best practices such as book groups. And we've started, I think I've started 3 different books with 3 different groups, so that's great to see. Continued curriculum mapping, the need to ensure that every teacher has the same high expectations across every grade level. We need to have a guaranteed viable curriculum in every subject at every grade, so that the next group, if we're in the 3rd grade, we need to make sure that every teacher's teaching the same thing, so that when they get to the 4th grade, everybody knows where they're starting from. And what they said was they really are missing time to meet vertically. So 3rd grade teachers meeting with 4th grade teachers, or even 6th grade teachers meeting with 5th grade teachers, or high school people meeting with middle school people. They don't really have that time built into any schedule. And at the same time, they don't really have a lot of time to meet as a whole grade level. So all the 3rd grade teachers don't, it's just not built in. So we're looking to find different ways to make that happen for them. The second thing was building a collaborative culture. And I think Patty Kelly said it best when she accepted her award for Outstanding Teacher, and she said, I don't remember the exact words, but my biggest takeaway was, let's open the doors to each other's classrooms and help each other. And I can't say it better myself. So it's great that teachers have that attitude, but really creating a true professional learning community that's focused on student work, so teachers can sit in a room, look at student work, and help each other out. My kids didn't do so well over here. I noticed your kids did. What did you do differently? How can you help me help my kids? And building a culture that just really isn't afraid to look at each other's assessments and student work without judgment. And that was a message that we really tried to push at the leadership meeting, and then with Dr. McIntyre's opening speech. Be vulnerable, and don't be afraid that this person's going to judge me, because we're all in it together and we're all looking to help kids. We're trying to provide time for the teachers to get into each other's class. They sit and they talk in collaborative times, but they never really go get to see anybody that's an expert in a certain area. So how can we free teachers up to allow them to go into their neighbor's room during teaching time? And then finally, getting teachers, and we're getting there, but getting teachers to work as a team. So you have a special educator, you have an English learner teacher, and you have the general teacher, and getting the 3 of those teachers to work together so that all kids can be included into the mainstream classroom. And then finally, 21st century teaching and learning. You guys all saw all the great tools that are, especially at Woodland, but there's all new technology at Stacy. There's technology coming in every day at Milford High School. So how do we use that to our advantage? How do we use that to help students learn? And again, it goes back to empowering staff to be vulnerable and make mistakes, because it's very difficult, and I think Dr. Joseph did it well at the last meeting, when technology doesn't work. All right, what do I have to do here? I'm gonna have to shift gears, and it's hard when you have 20-something kids staring at you, and you don't want to make that mistake. And if they fail once and they're embarrassed or whatever, they're less likely to take a chance the next time. So how can we help teachers do that? Provide opportunities for staff to learn how to, and again, I'm going back to Woodland, but Woodland has all these different spaces, those outside common areas. How do we get teachers to break free of the walls and use all those different areas in different ways, and to think differently than they've thought before? And Dr. McIntyre said this again too. Let's get teachers to make the shift from being a disseminator of information to a facilitator of learning. And instead of just sitting in front of the classroom and feeding all the information to students, let them discover it on their own. They have the tools to do it. Put them in situations where they can do it. We have to teach teachers to use the assessment data that they're collecting every day and use it to plan for the next day's lesson. and we're getting better at that. And then finally, we're trying to create an environment for students where they aren't afraid to take risks. And I already said it several times, but making those mistakes yourself shows kids that it's okay to take a risk and it's okay to fail. And create a classroom that kids can't wait to get to, and they're disappointed when it's time to leave. And I think we saw that a little bit at Woodland, but how do we make sure that that's happening in every single classroom? It comes down to making connections with kids and building relationships. So those are my big takeaways from our CTL meetings. We're looking to structure CTL meetings a little differently to kind of do what we did with the leadership meetings, and hopefully they'll be more valuable for staff. Anybody have questions about the CTLs? Okay, mentoring. So mentoring, the last week, August 22nd and 25th, all the new staff, there was about 25 new staff members that came out and with their mentors, so about 50 staff members came out. On Monday, we brought them all into the media center. Dr. McIntyre and I had them for a couple hours. We also brought in Dr. Joseph, Lucy Jenkins, Vicki Houston, Judy Dagnes, Paula Mullahu, Julie Emo, Pam Hunter, all gave presentations on various topics. And then Carla Tuttle and the food department brought in lunch for all of them. And they spent the most of the time, again, building relationships, creating a team, making a connection so that they would feel comfortable on the first day, that they already knew who they could go to. They did spend a lot of time in the new schools that they were assigned to. They learned about where the curriculum materials were. They learned about important things like where the bathrooms are and copy machines, all very important things for a new teacher. And they met all the important staff members that really nobody, I guess, may think about, but the secretary and the custodian, all the people that could get them the things that they needed. Those are the relationships that the behind the scene people that you really get to know. They help tremendously. And we'll be starting a book with that group, and that's a hard group to have a book with, because you have brand new teachers who've never taught, and then you have veteran teachers, and then you have other people like speech and language people or psychologists. So we chose a book, The 17 Things That Good Teachers Do Differently by Todd Whitaker, and we felt like this is a book that everybody could engage in, and we could have conversations around it. So we're looking forward to that. So that's our mentoring program.
Any questions, discussion? I have to agree with you, Craig, that it definitely is working already, because just personally from what I saw yesterday, and I apologize, I don't know the teacher's name, but I know Mr. Dadarian was the aide at the Woodland School. The teacher was...
Mr. Sparks.
Yep.
We were in the room together, and he said to the students, he goes, now, where you're sitting today is not going to be where you're sitting tomorrow. I want you to sit somewhere different with a different group of children, and because I want you all to learn how to get along with each other. And he went in to explain to himself, why he wanted to do that. And also made a statement, but if there is an issue, I may have to place you where, I think you're better suited. But I'd like you to come in every day and move around the classroom and be with different people, And then we went into, she was a substitute, I know that. She actually had all the children in the room around her while she was taking attendance.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Memorial School, Vinny Kiesel's room, Vinny's on a chair with a laptop, and all the kids are on the floor on a rug, and the tone of the lights in the room is so different. You go to another teacher, she's in a rocking chair, and all the kids are on the floor in front of her. So it's, it definitely, you can see it. It's a culture that's changing in education. So thank you. Any other questions, discussion? No? Okay, we'll move on to the report of the Superintendent for Business and Human Resources, Mrs. Perry.
I have, for the committee's approval this evening, 3 warrants. The first warrant is in the amount of $4,898.96.
Kind of a motion from Jim, second from Jen, all in favor?
The second warrant is in the amount of $214,975.80.
Motion from John, second from Joe. All in favor?
And the last warrant is in the amount of $436,076.
Motion from Joe Calery, second by Jim. All in favor?
The committee also has a list of the professional development course reimbursement requests in the amount of $17,665, which requires a vote.
Yep. Motion from Jen, second from Jen. All in favor?
The committee also has a list of the latest appointments and hires from our previous school committee meeting.
Wow.
And I do have a request for out-of-state country travel from Dr. McIntyre to go to China from the time period of October 13th through October 23rd for the Cambridge Institute program. And he is requesting that he be out of district, which does require a vote.
Motion from John, second from Joe. All in favor?
And the last item I have for you this evening are two articles for capital that, the budget subcommittee members, we met with the, FinCom, and, for the beginning stages have vetted these two articles, one being for the Stacy School, the interior fire doors.
Yeah.
They do need to be replaced, they are out of fire code, and that is in the article submission, as well as modernizing the Memorial School elevator, in the amount of $80,000. So one request for $200,000 for the fire doors and $80,000 for the, elevator. Both articles do require a vote, and they have been vetted by, Jerry Moody.
Can we vote them together, or do we have to vote them individually?
You can vote them together.
Okay, so the motion would be to authorize to take the two articles to the October town meeting.
Yes.
A motion from Joe Calery, second from John. All in favor? Okay.
And just further discussion, I didn't let the committee know, we do have to go back to FinCom with these articles with the full scope of work, which Rob Quinn is putting together for us currently, and we hope to meet with the FinCom maybe the end of September to formalize the articles.
Okay.
And we do have gifts, or a grant
Yes, we do.
and a gift.
Yes, we do. So the first donor is DonorsChoose.org. It's a gift in kind for Carrie Hasty Wilson's in the amount of $1,357. Motion from Jim, second from Jen. All in favor? The next donor is Metro West Health Foundation. The gift is Early Childhood Social and Emotional Learning Initiative in the amount of $25,000. And if I could, before we motion, I'd like to send a special thank you to Lucy Jenkins, Dr. Bradica, and the Social and Emotional and Learning Committee that pulled this off, put it all together. Great job, and I'd like to say thank you very much. Could I have a motion?
Huge.
Motion from Jen, second from Joe. All in favor? Okay. And we'll make sure we get letters out to these people.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, next agenda item is subcommittees. And I said to Dr. McIntyre earlier tonight, what I want to do differently this year is we're going to try to get a calendar so that we know when the different committees are meeting. And if you have not met within the time of we're going to just, your committee will not be on here. So instead of going around the room, we haven't met. So the committees that'll be listed will be the committees that have had meetings, before the last school committee, just to kind of trim things up a little bit. Is everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, okay, so the first one is policy. We haven't met. No. Wellness, we haven't met. The Woodland School Building Committee,
I think there's been plenty said about the Woodland Building Committee. The only thing I will add is, there was a request at the last school committee meeting to re-examine the date of the ribbon cutting.
yes.
And we have looked at that, and now we're proposing Sunday, October 30th as the
Okay,
date for that.
because everybody's asking me that.
Hmm.
And if I could just chime in here for 1 second, I would like to send a special thank you to the entire Woodland Building Committee for a job well done on that school. I think one thing that they did a lot of the great things, but one thing that I think they did which was rather unique, is they gave Aldo and Jonathan ultimate decision-making authority throughout the course of a day, so that when things were coming up, as they were all the time, those two people could make decisions right away to keep the project going. So special thank you to Aldo and Jonathan Bruce for a great job, but to the whole committee as well. I think that we should all say thank you to them. That it's a beautiful, beautiful
They did a
building
fantastic
and a
job.
great project. So thank you very much.
Jen, do you have a time or just a date?
It will probably be in the afternoon, something like 1 to 3 or
Just
something
sounds
like
like
Just
that,
checking.
Technology Task Force?
We have not met.
Nope, okay. Climate, Culture, and Morale?
We haven't met.
Okay. Budget Subcommittee?
We haven't met since the last meeting.
Okay. Marketing and Communication?
No meetings.
The only thing,
I-
go ahead.
Could I add something?
Yep.
The Twitter feeds are amazing. And I know that's part of it, and trying to give everyone that glimpse into what's happening in the schools. And it's so great as a parent to be able to look on every website in this district and see what is going on. And yours is great, but lots of, all the educational resources, but all the photos. You can't be in there every day, nor should we as parents be in there, or school committee members all the time. And they're very positive, and it really paints the district in such a positive light.
And can I just jump on that? I want to thank all the administrators jumped on board. One of the issues that have come out of this is I've become kind of a Twitter addict. So I'm working on that. But I want to thank all the administrators who've really jumped down and become very active on Twitter, because I think it does make a difference, and we are getting positive feedback. And we're really kind of opening the schools up to kind of glimpses of the schools up to the community, which I think is great.
Joe and I were talking about it in the car yesterday, being the marketing committee, how can they get, just the way the classrooms were decorated, get that out to the general public,
Yeah.
So it's really, really great, so, okay, that being said, next agenda item is future agenda items. Is anybody, we've got a couple of things that Dr. McIntyre and I will add to the 15th. Does anybody have anything else that they'd like added in the future? Okay. Anybody have any old business? No? Okay, the question I have for Kathy, they have executive session listed here, but I believe we do not have one. No, we do not have one. Okay, and with that, I'll take a motion for adjournment from Joe, second from Jen. All in favor? With that, I say good night, everybody. Have a nice Friday. Thank you for watching.